Tuesday, January 8th edition of the Board of Fair Commissioners meeting. Happy New Year. As we start each meeting with a legal notice, as information for our audience, if you're not satisfied with a decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. Okay, we do have a quorum. There's 3 of us here today. I know we have some illness and other obligations, apparently, but we do have a quorum, so we're going to proceed with review of the meeting minutes. The last meeting was November 7th, or 27th. These minutes have been circulated to the board. And we have a move to approve and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have approved the minutes from November 27th. We good to go here?
Yeah, that's for.
Okay. All right.
Do you want this chair?
It is customary to start with some public comment time. If anybody would like to speak, mic at the podium should be on. Please introduce yourself and your address, if you would, please, and 3 minutes.
Good morning, Steve Ryder. Good to see you. I haven't been here for quite a while, so it's good to see everybody. I guess there's a quorum, so I might have to leave a little early today. I've kind of got a schedule conflict, but I wanted to let you know that I have a lot of interest in what happens here and look forward to having a tour with Laura and get an update on what's happening here. So good to see you again. I look forward to the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment time? If not, are we good to go with our tech? Well, we can get into the financial report. Morning, Felicia.
Good morning. I just want to make a note that the finances or the financial reports are from November 2018. Finance is closing out the month of December because of the short turnaround and everyone being on vacation. There was not enough to report for the month of December, so we are reporting this morning for the month of November 2018. We had revenue of $1.4 million. The expenses through November 30th were $1,488,195 for a net loss for the month of November of $87,744. And if you factor in depreciation of $156,735, the total net loss for the month of November, $244,479. Shortfall in revenue, please keep in mind that November and December are our lowest months for flea market. And it's always this way for the month of November and December. So we expect those numbers to kick back up again in the month of January. So that explains the dip in revenue for the month of November. And you'll also see that in the month of November. We will flip to our charts that are included. You will be able to see better. Our charts where you can see better how all this flows. If you look at the expenditure distribution, you see that as usual, payroll is our largest expense, 44%, followed by utilities and purchase services. And with revenue, of course, flea market, booth rent, 45%, followed by parking. Those are our main income revenue generators for the fairgrounds.
I will add on the pie chart to the lower right, revenue by category. What we've tried to do is to account for all the revenue generated for certain events. Up until this month, we did not separate out concessions, and since then, Randy Dice has provided us a breakdown between concession commission generated through the flea market and concession commission generated through building rentals. It pretty much is a 50-50 split between those two types of events. So you'll see in that when the blue area where it says 58% from flea market, that does include flea market parking, and it does include all the FF&E rentals, tables and chairs, booth rent, plus the commission from concessions that are sold during the flea market. So it's a little bit more accurate representing what those building rentals and what flea market brings in.
And then an update from our last meeting, we have been brought current for the rent for the racetrack. So please note that it's not representative here on the November financials, but we did receive that check. And so we are current with the rent from the racetrack.
Okay.
We are still, however, waiting for State Fair.
State Fair is about 4%.
A little over 79,000.
Okay. I think this might be a typo on the year. You're getting ahead of yourself, maybe.
Where?
Would it be 16, 17, and 18?
It's fiscal year.
I see. Okay,
Fiscal,
you're right. We're
since
still in
it ends in
19. Okay.
19,
I gotcha.
it is a little
Okay.
deceiving, but yes, it's fiscal year 19.
Okay.
You know, I'll also add that as we do every time this year, we have a mid-year update with Metro Finance just to see where we are on our operating. We are tracking expenditures very, very closely. We anticipated going into both last year and this year on a very razor-thin operational budget. Our revenue target was $3.03 million, and our expenditure target was almost $3.3. So there's a gap there already from what was approved for the fairgrounds. Our revenue is tracking well, but we still have some work to do as far as cutting expenditures, and we just don't have a lot of flexible accounts that allow us to pull back where needed. I mean, primarily, you know, there's payroll. Some of the purchase services, repairs, we're being very thoughtful about obviously what repairs. Of course, anything in the current buildings that are would have a negative impact on health and safety. Of course, we are fixing, but otherwise we're being very, very cautious about repairs to these current buildings since they're scheduled for demolition in the next 6-7 months. So I'm just, we have a small fund balance that can help, but we are really working very diligently on increasing revenue, cutting expenses so that we can come in even.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yep, we'll know more in the next couple months once we have to do an evaluation of where we are, see if we need a supplement, pull the rest of that fund money, or when we go to council.
Do we have any other comments or questions on the financial report? Kind of segueing into executive director's report.
I have little outside of what is going to be shown and discussed during the rest of the agenda. The only thing I want to mention is there is an RFP coming out shortly through Metro Procurement for pouring rights. So this would be for soft drinks. So we're expecting that to probably hit the streets in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
And it will be in cooperation also with Metro Parks and the Municipal Auditorium.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the Fairgrounds Improvement Project update, please.
Up here. Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
I'm going to kick us off this morning, actually, I guess kick us off this year on Fairgrounds improvement updates. I'm going to start with the budget update. I'm also going to be followed by Roxanne Bethune, who will give a DBE update, and then we're also going to give an overview of where we are on the project with some visuals for you a little later. Starting with the budget update, I will say one thing that I'm going to do in the future is to get this back condensed down to one page. So I do apologize for being 2 pages. Sometimes that may make it a little bit difficult to follow, but just follow me as I walk down through it. It might be better if you actually do separate it and look at the pages in unison 1 and 2. But starting from the top down, of course, you'll see our sources of funds. Those have not been updated since the last time that I presented to you all. And then under uses, what you'll see now is actually some activity in the Exposition Center and Site Improvements category, which, as we talked about before, has been completely segregated from previous costs on site. And so right now, as you'll see under construction, there's $180,000 there. And so that's reflective of our first invoicing that's come in. So we broke ground November 1st. We've been out there for a couple months. As I always say to you guys when presenting these numbers, understand that what you're seeing is about 30 to 45 days behind what's actually out there in the field. So far more than just that one invoice amount of work has been completed out there on site. But as our budget continues to catch up with that, that's what you're seeing here. The next charge, the largest to date, is the amount of funds gone to design, so just over $800,000. That, of course, encapsulates everything from when we did the initial planning and community engagement meetings that were here in the spring, all the way up until the end of the year. And so our design team actually completed our construction documents, and we're in permitting phase now. So all of that has been rolled up into that one number that you see there. And then finally, the last active category right now is project management and related costs. So you'll see the project management cost there, as well as we've engaged Facility Diagnostics as our commissioning agent for the project. And so their first 2 invoices are there. And then, of course, some appraisal costs that have come in at the close of the year are represented in that line item. That brings our spend to date at just under $1.2 million on costs related to the Expo building. On the second sheet, as you're making your way down, there are the other categories of cost that we've captured here. And as I said, segregated from the Expo building, as that's the primary project moving forward. We do have infrastructure in the Fair Park. And so you'll see dollars that are captured in that number right now. The $250,000 that you see there is actually reflective of the retainage to date related to that. So one of the conversations that we had with you all earlier is that the Fairgrounds $1 million commitment will essentially be the last money out of the door. And so taking into account the retainage, we know for a fact will be some of the last dollars. It's been allocated there. So I will continue to give updates on that, and you'll get an update on where that project stands a little later. The Grandstands project, so as we've presented on earlier, 1.795 has been isolated specifically for the grandstands, but as you know, all that work has been placed on hold as of late last year. So to date, there's about $805,000 that has been expensed. There are 1 or 2 items that are actually being evaluated right now. One's fencing as to what we actually do with that. So there's very minimal cost that may hit that line item moving forward until we actually bring to you all and re-engage that project moving forward. So there are funds that are still segregated for that project, but they're not being expended at this time. And then last on this list before we get to the total is just the repairs, the demo, and the planning for the projects. So this is everything essentially up until this spring. So of course, we did do some demolition of some structures that were out here on site. We did do some painting. We did do some repairs. As Laura mentioned, those were done very thoughtfully as to what condition the buildings may need to remain in throughout operation, but not going and completely overhauling, because planning was to create a new Expo structure. And finally, you look at the total cost. So right now, everything flowing to the bottom, our total budget is at $37 million, what's presented in front of you, and to date, $3.845 million has been spent. So all in all, about 10% through the funds that is being presented here. And as you saw on the first page, about 4% through the Expo expenditures. As I tell everyone, you know, we only have a couple months here, so that number will continue to jump exponentially as I come back and present to you in the months ahead. So if you have questions, please let me know. If not, I will turn it over to Roxanne. Yes, Mana?
One quick question. On the third line, what is that 49% for security, IT, comms?
What is the what percent? I'm sorry.
It says 15,000 cost to complete, and then it says percentage complete is 49%.
That is an error. I'm not sure why that's there.
There's nothing, but that's.
There is nothing that's been there, and
okay.
that's the contingency line item, so in case we have an overage.
Okay.
Good question. Any other questions? Roxanne?
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. Happy New
I'm
Year.
energized. Are you guys there?
That really close.
Not yet, David. Where'd he go? Thank you, David. When Michelle comes up, he's so wonderful. Isn't he great? Just does what we ask him to do. Thank you. Okay, in your package, you should also have what I'm going to share with you guys this morning. Just wanted to give you all an update of where we were on diversity participation. As you all are aware, we have been charged with achieving a minimum of 20% participation on the first portion of our project with the demo repairs, the grandstand improvements, and also the fair park. So that's a combined target on both of those projects. Currently, we're at 24% diversity participation with 13 DBEs, which equal a dollar value of $1.5 million. So I think we're pretty good. We're on target. We're looking good to exceed, of course, that 20% participation, which we're very excited about. If you move down to the Expo building, since the new project has come on board, we've been asked to increase that 20% to 30%. Currently, we don't have dollars attached to that percentage just yet. We are tracking them, and as those dollars are received and the DBEs are paid and we get proof of payment, for those of you that are aware that we need checks to verify that proof, we'll start reporting what that Expo building target looks like for participation. But we are going to be looking at it as 30%. For those of you that realize that we've got a design team with Atkinson and Associates. Currently, they are tracking with their DBE participation at 97%. They have 9 DBEs that they're working with. 5 are small, 4 are W. 64% of that is small business, and 24% participation is women. Of course, the project management team, currently led by Gobble Hayes Partners, we're currently at 54% small participation. Well, of course, all of it is 100%. I guess I should throw that in there. That's a good thing. 17% women and 30% small business participation. So we're tracking to do very well as it relates to our participation levels, and we'll get into more details as we get into doing what has been charged on the diversity participation for the Expo. So that's all I have. Any questions? Nope.
Thank you very much.
David. You left?
And we can relocate so that's easier to see, too.
We don't want to leave David hanging, so let's
You
go
also
for it.
have the PowerPoint printed in your packets as well.
Okay. Yeah, let's go through that. That'd be.
All right, so Happy New Year.
Again, you can go.
It has been officially 4 months since the council approved this project. As you know, and as Ed's and Roxanne are alluding to, not quite as much has been reported as what has been done in the field. So I'm sure you've driven by and you can see the road has been temporarily closed while construction's going on. So we're really, really busy, even through the holidays. We had folks out there pretty much every day except for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Day, and that's about it. So let's see here. Yeah. There we go. Thank you. Let Scott move up here. Okay, so we'll give you a quick update of what's going on. What we're focusing on now, today, what you'll see really are some of the floor plans, some of the layouts of the building. So that's kind of what we'll focus on. Do want to touch, let me make sure I've got this going. Okay, do you mind advancing the slide? Thank you. Just a quick update on Fair Park. Again, Commonwealth and the Commonwealth team is still managing that project, and so, but you know, we're all working together. So Fair Park Phase 1 is anticipated to open February of this year, so that's next month. You'll see a lot of progress down there, and the dog park will open, the sidewalks, the greenway, that is what is slated to open. The multipurpose fields, the soccer fields, still need a season to grow. So it should be this spring. They'll be blessed to be used, which I know we're eager to start using those for parking. Of course, Voters Building, that demo will occur once those machines are relocated. That's slated for later in the summer. That will begin. And then, of course, with the stormwater variance, the approved variance that's in place, you know, the whole team is having frequent communication with Metro Water Services to make sure that all of those requirements are being met along the way. So, and this is actually an image from December of Fair Park. Quick update on the Grandstand. There's not a whole lot to report on that. As you know, restrooms have been updated, the concourse has been painted, a bit of work has been done, but it has been on hold. So we still have the remaining painting of the canopy, the stair, the PA system, thank you, and the lighting. Those are all requiring scaffolding, and so that work is on hold until we're given the green light to move forward on that. So we're really protecting those funds for now. So.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, what you're seeing there is an overview of the facility. The building is, as we told you before, has been ordered and should be delivered in mid-February to early March. So we'll start seeing it erected at that time. The overall organization is the Expo Center, which is do we have a pointer in? The Expo Center is broken into 3 components. Expo, it's kind of hard to read. Expo 1 is the one to the right, kind of in the middle. Expo, can I go point? Maybe that'd be the best way.
Sure. I'll do it. You stay at the mic.
Okay. There you go. I like that. Expo 1, just to give you a little sense of scale, that's inside that is about the size of a football field. So it's 150 feet wide, a little over 300 feet long. At the bottom part of that drawing, you'll see the offices. We have restrooms that are accessible from the inside and would be accessible from the outside should the facility be closed, so you can get into the restrooms alone. Those are located in the upper right-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner of that space. So Expo 1 is kind of a big barn-type building. It's got 18-foot eaves. It's going to slope up in the middle. It's going to be about 36 feet, as I recall, at the peak. Expo 3 in the middle, as Vanna is pointing out, Expo 2 in the middle, as Vanna is pointing out, is going to have a little bit lower ceiling. That space is envisioned to be where we would have banquets and those kind of issues. There will be one row of columns in that. Expo 1 is column free. It's got a cafe, a kitchen on the top part. At the lower part, there is a series of loading docks that will service the building at that point. Expo 3, right there, thank you, is a smaller version of Expo 1. It too is 150 feet wide. Still has the same dimensions, 18-foot eaves, sloping up to 36 feet. At the bottom is a series of offices and rooms and storage that will help support the vendors. Okay. At the very top of all of that, I don't think Vanna can reach that high, is the show arena. That will have a dirt floor. That can be part of the fairs that are held here. It can be part of other organizations, but it's a big shed, has no walls. And then to the right, going out across the parking lot, are two more sheds. Those are very similar to the shed you have today. They're 60 feet wide, over 300 feet long. There's no sides. And if they're not being used as part of a show, they can be used to park underneath. So that's an overview of each of these areas. So this is zooming in a little bit. It talks about Expo 1, 2, and 3. Those can be divided. There's hard walls between 1, 2, and 3 with large doors. So that can be divided in that section. Expo 1 can be subdivided internally with screens and drapes and things like that. Go to the next one. This is a zoom in of the offices. We're going to try to consolidate all the offices and get everybody brought into one area, including the flea market offices and Laura's, the executive director's office, et cetera. Go to the next one. This is the kitchen and cafe. It's small. One thing to try to explain, the level of finishes of this is going to be basic. It is not going to have anything very dramatic in it. It's going to be very serviceable. It's going to be something that you can maintain. But knowing that we could have livestock in this facility, we could have many different kinds of exhibits and sporting events, all of those things, to get that kind of flexibility, it's just going to be very, very serviceable, is the best way I can describe it. Next one. The site work and grading is going on. If you've been down there, it's amazing what all they've accomplished in the last month. What you're seeing there is the pad to Expo 3. That was the one on the left. We're going to be pouring concrete in a couple of weeks. That is going to be the first building to be erected. That'll be the first building arriving for the pre-engineered building. And that'll be going in and starting that erection process in March. Next one. This is the overlook. We're integrating the various colors that relate to the fairgrounds history. And it's going to be, one thing I forgot to mention is surrounding the Expo 1 and 3, and a little bit on 2, is what we're calling a porch. But it's 30 feet wide, it's 15 feet tall, and we can use that as exhibit space for flea markets and other things. So I did forget to mention that. Did I mention anything, Laura?
We're also, the designers for the Fairgrounds Expo, as well as the MLS, are in discussions and keeping the colors, on the table to talk about, to make sure that the whole property will, work together. So that's something that I know it's a little premature for the MLS. They haven't quite picked colors out, but we've talked about schemes, we've talked about feels, so that everything works together. So that's something that has begun and will continue to happen.
Essentially, the building is a pre-engineered metal building, which we're all familiar with, and the majority of the material will be metal siding, but around some of the entrances and other areas, we're going to be highlighting that with colors, and then right around the immediate area of the entrances, we're going to be surrounding that with masonry because those tend to be high wear, and we're working on, again, trying to coordinate the colors and working with some of the future projects that's going to be on the campus. Did that get what you need? Yes.
On the updated Fairgrounds logo, were you saying that that would just be updated with color or fonts and everything else?
That is the updated logo. I believe you all went through a rebranding several years ago. So it's the same color that the existing logo. We're not rebranding the logo, but we're saying the color will jive with, the rebranded logo as well as the Grandstand. I mean, it's a whole Fairgrounds campus. So we're making sure that it all works together.
Any other questions about the plan? You want to give a quick update on MLS? Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick question regarding the park opening in February. Are we going to take measures to protect the fields? Kind of have something up saying, "Don't go on the fields in February when the rest of the park is open," just to make sure that it's protected for the extra time it needs.
Yeah, so we've been continually updating and having conversations with parks about that. They understand the need to do that. They have several other fields that are like this.
Okay.
And they do have a protection plan. They will also insist that they aren't utilized, but they won't be programmed. And I think that's the key there,
Yeah.
having it programmed so that it isn't extremely worn in during the time it needs to grow in.
Other questions? Quick update on some of the other projects on campus. The infrastructure project, as you recall, the council approved $25 million for infrastructural improvements to support the stadium. We're in the early phases of trying to determine how to divide that project up and phase it and get it started. As you're aware, there's a bridge over Browns Creek that takes a very long permitting process. And then some of the other utilities that's got to be going in, we're working with NES and others to see if we can get there any other support of funds that would help offset some of the costs that's going to occur in that budget. I will point out that the Expo Center will be freestanding and will not be depending on any of these infrastructure projects to open. The MLS Stadium, they are working with the construction manager and the design team. They are making modifications to facilities to fine-tune their budget, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll be able to see some results of those negotiations. Anything else?
Thank you, team. Appreciate it. All right, so have we covered we've covered the MLS Stadium. Move on to update on discussion with Formosa Productions and Speedway Motorsports, Inc.
I just have a very brief update just to say that we have had an introductory meeting with representatives from Speedway Motorsports and the city, as well as members of the team and mixed use. We all met just to talk about all the projects that are going on and are scheduled to occur, the timeline. We talked about footprints and legislation, of course, that was approved through council this fall, and what that looks like. So it was really just an introductory meeting to get everybody in one room, meet everyone, and just have that general introduction. The ask out of that meeting was to meet again, and we have that meeting scheduled for this week, a follow-up meeting, and I guess at this point, it's just being very open-minded and working together and having a lot of discussions to see what's possible out here. I will clarify, I know that there have been several reports in the media in various formats that Metro has an agreement with Speedway Motorsports. I do want just to clarify that at this point, Metro does not, and the Fair Board does not have an agreement with Speedway Motorsports. What has happened is very fruitful discussions between Formosa Productions and Speedway Motorsports to work together to bring a proposal before the board and before Metro, and that's what we're working towards right now with those discussions. I know that we have Councilman Swope in the audience. If he would like to address the board, please.
Please step forward.
Chairman Horton, members of the board, thank you for your indulgence this morning. The news that Bristol has reached an agreement with Formosa Racing is tremendous for the fairgrounds, the Speedway, and for sporting events in Nashville in general. Since Nashville lost its cup races in 1984, this is the first opportunity for a major vision for the future of our track. I encourage the Fair Board, Mayor Briley, and all stakeholders to seize this opportunity. Work collaboratively to develop a vision for this historic raceway. And by historic, if you're not aware by now, we're the second oldest racetrack in the country, short track, and this short track has single-handedly produced more NASCAR drivers than any other track collectively in America. That is worth being incredibly proud of. 2011, more than 70% of Nashville voters said very clearly that racing and this track should remain as part of the future of the fairgrounds for as long as the fairgrounds exists. That means that we have a Metro Charter-based obligation to maintain this track, and much more importantly, we have an obligation to make it successful. The folks at Bristol and their family company in Charlotte, SMI, are the very best in the business. They own 9 tracks around this country. We are very fortunate to have them at the table with us right now. I understand that there's already some planning conversations between the MLS ownership group, the city's hired stadium manager, and the Speedway folks, Formosa Promotions, to determine how these very fundamental facilities operate together. And by that I mean the stadium, the exhibition space, and the racetrack. I can't speak for the Metro Council, but I can speak personally. And as an amateur racer who has raced on this track multiple times over the past 30 years, I would cry if this track went away. I know that Formosa Promotions and SMI have come to an agreement to move his 4-year contract, and I understand that the mayor's office right now is beginning conversations with SMI for a 30-year deal. You will probably see that deal within the coming months, and I encourage you to look at it favorably. If we can do for the racetrack what we're doing for the exhibit space, AKA the flea market and the Tennessee State Fair, what we're doing for MLS, if we could do the same thing for the racetrack, the Fairgrounds Nashville will become the crown jewel of the city, something we can all be proud of, not just for a year or two, but for the next several decades. With that, I thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Any further questions or comments on this topic? Anything else to present? Tony, are we good?
We're good. Okay. Have we, any word on that World of Outlaws contract?
I have not received an update yet. Tony is working with with the organizers of World of Outlaws as far as the fencing requirements and insurance, if that's fair to say. And then there is an amendment that will be processed as well through Metro Legal that will come back because that amendment still needs to be incorporated into the next, into their contract.
I just want to make sure
Yes.
we're on track with that because we're heading towards May and we're starting
Yep.
to get a little tight on time.
Yes.
Sorry, real quick, back on Speedway Motorsports. What is the timeline on having some sort of decision or agreement?
There hasn't been a firm timeline established yet. Like I said, we are in introductory conversations with all the stakeholders on, what that proposal could look like. So I think we'll know more in the coming weeks of maybe what that timeline can be.
I mean, I guess the main point is there's lots of planning and initiatives moving forward. That's have what-if conversations. Now is the sooner the better, right? So, okay. If we're done with that, we can move on to new business, the approval of intent to award. It says RFQ 1034660 for food and beverage services to D&D events.
Just a minor typo on the agenda. It's my fault, not Christie's. It's RFP. We did go out for an RFP last year for food and beverage services. This is a contract that the Fair Board does not have authority to go out and procure themselves. It is not an amusement. It's a contract for goods and services, and that authority lies with procurement. So we did partner with procurement and put out an RFP, again, in partnership with the Municipal Auditorium and the Metro Parks Department. And as a result of that RFP process, they have issued an intent to award to D&D Event Management. I see Randy in the back. Randy and his team have been working out here for like decades at this point, most recently with a 5-year contract for our concessions and catering services. So we're looking forward to working with them moving forward. We do have to successfully negotiate a new contract, so that is the next step. So I would look to the board and recommend a board representative be nominated to assist with contract negotiations so that we can get that moving and get that back to the board for final approval as soon as possible.
Okay, so anything we need to do today on this item?
Just making a motion to appoint a board representative to the negotiation team. Whoever wants to do that.
I think Caleb would be great, don't you?
I'll do it.
Jason,
I'll do
okay.
it.
Well, Aaron has volunteered.
I'll nominate Jason.
Volunteer?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I think we have a
We had a
we had a
volunteer.
volunteer. Never mind.
We had a
Okay.
volunteer. So
I'll take
we
a break on this one. I'll handle the next one.
All right, so I'll nominate.
I'll make a motion that Aaron McAnally serve as the Fair Board's representative for purposes of negotiating the contract with D&D Events Management.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Aaron's it.
While we're on the topic of food and beverage, even though we would have this food and beverage manager, does that still permit food trucks to come on site for events?
D&D has been very flexible in bringing in food trucks to support our food and beverage, whether it be for variety or just for volume. So we routinely bring in food trucks for our larger flea market events and for other events. So they're very, very flexible with our promoters and what that looks like. So yes.
Okay. We have former board chair, Mr. James Weaver in the house. Did you, okay. Want to share us? No? Okay. All right. We live in some good times here, so. Anybody else at this point? I see Mr. Jones is here. Anything you wanted to share with us today?
Hope you had a great holidays. I think last board meeting I was not here. We were at a fair convention, so, but I just want to sit there and say that moving in January, February, I think Laura had mentioned late last November or something about trying to have talks for the future. So we look forward to that. And also, I know last meeting that we had with Michelle, we had some concerns or some questions about the mixed-use development down in the lower level parking lot. So basically, for the next year, as far as for the dates of the fair in September, would that be available? You know, it will, or will that, because that'd be under the mixed-use development, from my understanding. So that's on their timetable. So the footprint ultimately for Independent Midway sponsors and the carnival, we can condense and shape some of that if we, that kind of thing. But there is some flexibility. But at the same time, with the footprint of the buildings, the expo space, that's pretty much going to take up as far as livestock, creative arts, and those kind of things. But as far as our Independent Midway and the Midway and food vendors and stages, we'll need a footprint. I know construction, it will be going on in different phases of the hill. So ultimately, when we meet, if we could have some of those answers, because planning is very important. So.
Scott, what's the status of payment for this past fair? When's the board going to get together on that?
Well, right now, I have the payment in my office. We had a couple of what happened, excuse me, I'm trying to get over a cold or something, but what happened was we had a board meeting in late October. Normally we have it after the fair, we have it late October so we can have our financials done and everything, so we can give our board a real good picture of the fair, an overall picture of the fair. What happened was some things came up and we didn't have a quorum. So that board meeting got basically canceled. Then we were scheduling another one in November, and then of course with some conflicts in scheduling, we did not get that. And then I personally had things in December that I was traveling and out of town. So with the holidays, we just did not meet. I just got back into town last Thursday over personal vacation. So we're working now to try to schedule a board meeting. We had a couple of board members called me with some concerns. They just wanted to talk as a board because this last fair, there were, we did not have technically the whole property in, and there was, and up till May, we were told we could park cars on that down there as far as in the fair park. And then it came out that would not be available to park cars, which gave a little bit of a negative impact to the fair because we were not able to get the people in. So it did hurt us. So they just want to have some discussion. But I do have the payment in my office, but they just told, a couple of members just told me to wait till we have our board meeting just so they could express their concerns. So that's kind of where that's at. But with the holidays, it was just everything. And of course, like I said, we just had some scheduling conflicts.
So you envision there'll be some conversation and meetings in the next couple of weeks, maybe before the next board meeting, that we can talk about this fall?
Yes, for sure. If Laura, now the thing it goes back to is, that mixed use development, I don't know what y'all referred, I've referred to Old Fair Park, basically, is what, that lot down there. But that's part of the mixed use development to the best of my recollection, which is under someone else's care at some point. I don't know the time frames and haven't really been. So what's been communicated to me was they would have to find out ultimately when that construction was going to begin. So if that starts in July and it's not available and there's nothing but like a path from the Expo Center up to the racetrack, there's just no land to put a fair. You know what I'm saying? There's just no footprint to do everything outside of creative arts and livestock. So those are just some current concerns. We just want to make sure that when we start talking in this, that everyone knows up front that, we have to have inside the racetrack, ultimately, because I'm thinking in my head how to produce the fair. Ultimately, myself and Miss Kate Lansall over there, we're the ones, we're the boots on the ground. So we have to figure out ways to produce the fair on what's given to us. And ultimately, I know the RV sites will be less, will be somewhere in 20s, maybe low 30s. So ultimately, we're up in the 60s, upper 70s in RV spots. So one of the proposals was to move the carnival inside the racetrack, which can't happen inside the racetrack. But we can put our RVs, the carnival RVs, in the racetrack. Now, if we do that, of course, one of my board members called, and I didn't even know it. They saw it posted somewhere. I think there's a race on the schedule during the fair.
I can address that, and actually, Mr. Formosa addressed that at the last meeting, that knowing as soon as we saw that, we did contact the Speedway and let them know that that is a traditional opening of State Fair weekend, and Tony indicated right away that he'd be willing to work with you on that.
Yeah, like I said, a board member called me while I was on vacation and just said, have you seen this? So anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is if we can probably give a little bit in a few, this year. Like, for example, I'd love to bring a race back, but if we have to put RVs in the pit area, then we can't have a race, which we haven't had in the last couple years, but we definitely want to bring racing back, but we could still have the monster truck show. So, there's things that we can flexibly do that will accommodate everyone's needs, but ultimately, the carnival it really can't. They just can't get inside the racetrack and produce that with the rides. So that's where we're at. I guess ultimately just now trying to plan and see what schedules and what will be under construction.
Sounds like we have a lot of discussions to have, and I know the folks on this side of the aisle want to have them. Extend the invitation again like I extend every month. We'd love to see Mr. Rose again. We haven't seen him in a long time, yes. And he has a lot of time to give quotes to the paper that are pretty negative. He should find the time to be here. I know he's busy up in Washington now, but he should find the time, let him know about the February board meeting. We'd love to have him have some productive discussions. We'll have discussions before then. We need to talk now. The fairgrounds remains ready to talk. We're having a fair here always, and we got to start talking. You guys got to come talk to us. So let's get that done immediately. We'll figure it out.
I will definitely share that with Congressman Rose, for sure. So, and we will definitely, like I said, Laura, if you can just shoot some times, what's available, and we can start those discussions.
All right. Thank you. All right. Any further business before the board? Hi, Tony. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn and second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.